In May, we reported that Steins Reboot, the upcoming remake of the Steins visual novel, was expected to release before September 30, 2025. This was based on a report shared by Colopal, parent company of developer Mages, who suggested an intent to release a Steins console game within fiscal year 2025, which ends in September 30. As has become increasingly obvious over the last few months, Steins Reboot will likely not launch in September. We additionally believe it will miss the 2025 release window entirely. In this video, we'd like to share a few reasons why we think this is the case. As of the writing of this video, it's September 12, 2025. There are less than 20 days until the aforementioned September 30 deadline. Most games, especially major releases like Reboot, undergo a multi-month marketing period during which gameplay previews are shown, interviews with involved staff are conducted, and general information about the game, including pricing and release platforms, is made available. So far, Steins Reboot hasn't received any of this, which is to say, its marketing period hasn't begun. If Reboot were still to release within the next 20 or so days, it would be akin to a shadow drop, a release with little to no prior notice, usually intended to surprise the buyer enough that they consider buying the game on impulse. This has happened before with the series. My Darling's Embrace launched in English one day after the localization's official announcement. But this practice is not the norm, and the scale between Darling's English release and Reboot's Japanese release is not comparable. The former was a case of years-old spin-off game getting translated to the series' non-primary Western audience, while the latter is a full-fledged, brand-new remake for the primary Japanese audience. There is another, more compelling reason Reboot won't launch within the next 20 days, however. Common sense says if you are a developer, you shouldn't release two major games in the same series in close proximity of each other. If you've put one major release in January, you will want to wait a couple of months before releasing the next one, even if both are ready in the same period of time. The reason is simple, you don't want your audience to have to pick up one or the other. Not everyone can afford or is willing to buy two full-price games in a short term. Even assuming these fans would buy the other game later, discounts and the used game market means Mages would still lose out. An intentional gap period, on the other hand, would allow a buyer to save up and get back into the ready for more phase. Last month, Mages announced another upcoming science adventure release, Chaos Love Choo Choo Double Back, a bundle of two Chaos epilogues that will launch on November 27, 2025. While Steins is overwhelmingly more popular than the Chaos games, overlap exists. Chaos fans are highly likely to have an interest in Steins too, which introduces a purchase conflict. If Mages release the LCC Double Pack on a Reboot in close proximity, both releases would suffer from cannibalized sales, as many fans would be forced to choose one or the other to buy on release. For evidence of how Mages has previously approached situations like these, look no further than Memories of, the series' 9th mainline entry, Memories of So-So, released in April this year, and an epilogue game collection similar to the LCC Double Pack released in July. We know for certain that the latter was intentionally staggered, because it was actually provided to fans who bought the ultra limited edition of So-So as an exclusive bonus in April, while other fans were only able to buy the collection standalone after its July release. Mages delayed the release of a finished game to avoid the potential for cannibalized sales. Similarly, Mages would likely avoid releasing Reboot near the LCC Double Pack's late November release date. They would want to give series fans the time to save their money and buy both games on release. And, as unfortunate as it is to say, we believe this means Reboot cannot release in 2025. Only 1 month separates the LCC Double Pack and the end of this year. Even less time if you consider the holidays, and a Reboot release during that month would hurt potential Double Pack sales and vice versa. It is far easier to imagine that Mages will take the safer path and delay Reboot to 2026, allowing both titles to reach their full sales potential. Simultaneous Japanese and English language releases are nothing new, but it's only in recent years that many middle-end and smaller Japanese developers have leaned into the trend. See Trails in the Sky's upcoming remake, for instance, which is one of developers Falcom's first major simultaneous worldwide releases. Mages has not typically sprung for simultaneous releases, but they've all but certainly started to think about it. CEO Makoto Asada stated in March 2023 that Mages is seeking to hasten script completion deadlines on the Japanese end, such that the localization process can begin immediately after a game's story text is finished. Notably, Mages' upcoming Corpse Party 2 Darkness Distortion is already confirmed to be receiving a simultaneous worldwide release next year, and the remasters of Never 7 and Ever 17 have already received worldwide simultaneous releases. An English localization of Reboot, though not confirmed, is a foregone conclusion, and a simultaneous worldwide release, if one is in the cards, would earn Mages a big hype boost in the West. The only possible downside, if it can be called that, is that the localization process would become a part of game's development timeline, which may or may not delay the actual release of the game across all regions depending on the circumstances. This brings us into the realm of speculation. If a simultaneous release is planned, how far along will development be when the script enters localization? Can the localization be completed before the development on the Japanese side is finished? How long will quality assurance of the English language build take? The answers to these questions would determine if the game's simultaneous release across all the regions could be scheduled within the anticipated period, or if an additional delay would be required even if the Japanese game was already completely ready for the release. To be clear, this is wholly speculative. We still have no idea if Steins Gate Reboot will receive a simultaneous worldwide release, and we don't know if any of the above factors might play, or have already played, a part in a possible delay of its release past 2025. At any rate, we want to take this opportunity to urge mages to make every attempt to pursue a high-quality localization of this release, as was the case for Anonymous Code's excellent localization, even if doing so would necessitate a delay. In a series as intricate as science adventure, strong, confident localizations are key to the fans' enjoyment of each entry, which is worth a few months delay if it comes to that. We've seen some fans express worries that Reboot is a vaporware, media that is supposedly in the development, but it's actually likely in protracted development hell. In fact, many fans, perhaps fairly, call the Steins Gate Hollywood project and Steins Gate Zero Elite vaporware as well. We don't think Reboot is vaporware yet. What's important to note is that Mages has delayed more SciADV releases than not prior to the release. And at the moment, we still think Reboot is just another chain in that pattern. A game that was optimistically announced for 2025 release, only to require more time than expected. For now, we would advise fans to wait Mage's own next comments on the release period. And if you need a little pick-me-up, check out this Facebook post Mages made last week over the 2 years of silence on the platform. That's right, they haven't forgotten it just yet.